Hello, everybody, and welcome to this talk about data-driven marketing in the Caribbean. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you can see and hear me loud and clear. If that's the case, make sure to say hello in the chat or use the thumbs up function. Leave a like, leave a thumbs up, whatever works best for you. Just want to make sure that all the platforms we are streaming to working fine and can see me loud and clear. We've usually a 20 to 30 seconds delay here, so don't worry if I don't respond immediately. So, what is the topic of today's talk, of today's conversation? What do I want to share with you today? And as you can see in the title, I want to talk about data-driven digital marketing today. Because I think, it's very important. And let me share with you really quick, some experience, one of the reasons why I think that more Caribbean organizations, more Caribbean companies, should put more emphasis on data-driven marketing. Because in my experience, when I talk to Caribbean organizations, there are often two main scenarios. Scenario number one is that the company or organization doesn't have any data-driven marketing approach at all, meaning they don't even have simple tools on their website like Google Analytics and so on, or don't even utilize them, meaning they don't collect any data, they don't analyze any data, and they don't use any data or any custom information for that matter to make any business decisions. So that's option one or scenario one that I see quite often. Or scenario two, especially when we talk about bigger organizations, bigger Caribbean companies that use these tools that are available, that use data-driven marketing or data in general. They often are so big that they often do not use any Caribbean agencies or get any support from there, but rather outsource the complete marketing department or most of the marketing activities overseas. So therefore, we also do not have a lot of that expertise in the area. Therefore, this talk is specifically for everybody that knows how important it is to make decisions based on data, to put more focus, more emphasis on data-driven decision making when it comes to marketing. But maybe you don't really know where to start, what tools you should use, and what are some of the basic principles. And in today's conversation, in today's talk, I want to give you a quick overview about the main principles, about the basic ideas that are important, overview about the tools that are available, and maybe give you the kind of starting advice with the tools and platforms that you should start. And to be honest, if you following that advice and if you use these tools and platforms that I'm going to talk about later on, you are probably golden and have done 80% of the stuff that you can do right now. So I hope that answers the questions why we should talk about more data-driven marketing. So the overarching topic or theme of this live stream, therefore, is the idea or is the goal, or the question rather, how can data-driven marketing help us to make better decisions, or in that context, help us to make better business or marketing decisions? Because data or information on the one hand is helpful and useful, but data itself doesn't really help. We need to put it into context and need to understand how we can actually use it in real life situations. So what is it? What do I mean when I talk about data-driven marketing, and what are the different components? Because one thing that I want to make clear is that data doesn't just exist in a vacuum. Data itself isn't really helpful at the end of the day. So when we talk about marketing and want to focus on the data part here, we need to be aware that we're talking about three different areas here, and when they come together, that's when you are able to really get the best results out of your data or out of your marketing campaigns. So the first big circle here that you can see, or the first big field that you should spend some time on, and it is important to think about in the whole context of data-driven marketing, are the creatives that you are using. Meaning you need to answer the question, okay, are we talking about an image here? Are we talking about video? Are we talking about audio? Are we talking about TV, print, or any other medium that is available? But of course, with the advent of digital marketing, a lot of the creative is now digital, meaning videos are now easier to produce than ever. Same with images and so on. So I will primarily focus on digital solutions today. So number one, creative. What is the creative that you are going to use for your specific campaign? And then, of course, what is the media channel or the marketing channel that you're going to use at the end of the day? Are you going to use social media? And if so, what platform there? Are we talking about Facebook? Are we talking about YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, or maybe podcasting? That plays a huge role in your decision making or in the kind of data that you actually can use, have available, or is actually relevant to make the right decision. And then beside creative and media, then as third component, we actually now have data, and that's where it basically all comes together, because data enables us to get the feedback from the different media channels, get the data feedback from the different creatives that we use, and then build models out of that, or collect that customer feedback, and then build a hypothesis on that, build a strategy, build a model that we can test, and then hopefully improve the overall performance. So what I think, what is super important to think about, and one of the basic and major principles when we talk about digital marketing or data-driven marketing is, I think, the biggest part probably data-driven decision making. And that might be sound more complicated than it actually is, because at the end of the day, it follows a few simple steps. So step number one is, of course, collecting the data. At some point in time, you need data available that you actually can work with, and that is often the first step where a lot of Caribbean organizations fall short, where they don't even know how to collect customer information, how to collect data that they can later on can use to make better decisions. So we will talk a little bit later about the different tools, about the different platforms that you actually can use to collect data that you then later on can use for your decision making. Step number two, after you collected your data, and that is super important, especially for beginners, is to structure and to analyze your data. I'm not saying that you need to hire a data analyst or necessarily have a data analyst in your team, but you should have somebody in your team that is able to structure the data that you're collecting, and that is able to analyze it properly. because especially when you're starting out, you will get so much feedback, you will get so much information, so much data that is often then unstructured, and you are easily overwhelmed, easily do not know where you should focus on. So therefore, step number 2 in your decision-making process is to make sure that you structure your data in a way that you actually can get information out of it, and then of course analyze it in the right way. After you collect your data and after you have structured it in a way so that you can actually use it and work with it, now in step number 3, based on that information that you now have, now you can start to develop a strategy. And I think that's super important, to really formulate clear goals and not just take the data and take the information and start just experimenting around. You need to make sure that you have clear definitions of your goals, clear definitions or clear definition of your strategy. And if you do not have that yet, make sure that you put enough time and enough thought into that, because otherwise, can be a lot of time and money wasted in unnecessary tests, unnecessary campaigns. And then step number 4, last but not least, one thing that I cannot stress enough is you need to measure your results. You need really to make sure that you have kind of debrief after your campaign, after your efforts, and really measure your results, analyze the data again, meaning what was the expectation, what was the strategy, what was the goal that you actually want to reach, what was the underlying hypothesis, and then compare that to the actual feedback, to the actual data, to the actual measurements that you get back, and then drive your conclusions from there and take the next step. And at the end of the day, that is should be kind of a feedback loop. You have your benchmark, you state your goals, you develop a strategy, campaign, marketing campaign to get there. You take the results that you get that you get from the campaign, you analyze them again with that new data that you now have, and improve your campaign, and then you repeat that over and over again. And this is how over time you collect more and more data, you understand your customer better and better, and you are able to drive better and better business decisions. So that's not a one-off project, that's a constant process that you really need to install in your organization, in your marketing department for that reason. So a few words of warning when we're talking about measurement or data collection, digital campaigns, whatsoever. Statistical relevance. What I often see is that, especially organizations, companies that kind of start out with that approach, that start collecting website traffic, app traffic, or generally speaking, more customer information, more customer data, or maybe run their first paid ad campaigns. They easily make too quick decisions, meaning they get a few data points back, a few website visitors, a few impressions, a few clicks, a few conversions maybe even, and then drive their conclusions from there. So what I want to say with that is you need to make sure that all of your experiments, all of your tests, all of your campaigns have a significant statistical relevance. Meaning you need enough data, and usually the bigger the better, the more data you can collect the better, to actually draw conclusions that are reliable. If you just have a few hundred website visitors, that is often not enough to actually determine if, for example, your landing page offer works in the way you want, or if you make an A/B test, if A is actually better than B or vice versa. So make always sure that you rather go with too much data than with too little, because that easily can kind of distort your conclusions and therefore your strategy. And especially when you base your business strategy or business decisions based on your data, you want to make sure that you have clear and reliable data. So as a rule of thumb, if you do A/B testing, meaning, for example, you do test two different creatives, two different copy, two different landing pages, whatever it might be, make sure that as a rule of thumb, you have at least 1,000 events per page or per creative that you are testing before you make any decisions, before you drive or draw any conclusions from that. I would rather recommend that you go way beyond that figure, but that should be a starting point. That's another reason why you should stay away from multivariant tests, meaning you should not test the copy, the image, and maybe the creative, not the creative, the copy and the image and the landing page all at the same time, because then you need multiple of visitors, a multiple amount of data to actually get a clear conclusion. So start simple, start with a few A/B tests, make sure that you reach the statistical relevance. There are even calculators out there that can give you, that can help you to figure out, okay, how much website visitors do I need? How much people need to see my campaign before I can make any decisions, before I can make any reliable decision. So statistical relevance, super important topic. Especially if you are starting out, especially if you as an organization start collecting customer information, customer data. All right, let's talk a little bit about tools and platforms that you can use or that you maybe should use. So what I want to distinguish here are basically two different things. Field or area number one, I want to call on-platform solutions or third-party data. What do I mean by that? Of course, third-party data is every data that you can get from a third party that you maybe can buy. But when we're talking about digital marketing, I mean especially on-platform data. So for example, if we're talking about platforms, I mean platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. The probability is high that you already have, for example, a business account, a business page on one of these platforms. And therefore, the platform is already collecting data information in the background on your behalf. For example, if you have a Facebook page for your organization, then Facebook is already collecting the information and the data in the background, who interacted with your page at one point in time, what was the content the people watched specifically, and so on. So that gives you already the opportunity, for example, to reach specifically the people that showed interest in your content, in your organization in the past. Same with a YouTube channel, same with a LinkedIn page, and so on. So a lot of that platform data is already available, or you probably already have access to, maybe without knowing it. So what I would highly recommend that you, if not done so as yet, create accounts on these platforms, build a following and so on. Not so much for the following itself, but for the interactions, for the data, for the feedback that you get by just having that account and maybe posting from time to time. And if you already have long-lasting accounts, maybe on your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page, your YouTube channel for your business, whatever it is, then make sure that you start building these audiences that are already there and start utilizing them. So that's a way how you can use already available third-party data without setting anything technical up. You easily can retarget people that already interacted with your brand, with your company, with your organization on one of these platforms. Of course, they have a big downside. On the one hand, the big advantage is that all this information is relatively easily to access or to utilize for you. On the other hand, you always need to be aware that you are on rented land here, because every social media platform or every platform that is not yours in general can kick you off. If they don't like you anymore, they can limit your access, or can limit your access to the data or the way how you can interact with your followers, with your customers. Okay, so on the one hand, very easy to access. On the other hand, you don't really own that kind of data. Therefore, the second area I want to talk about, or what you should focus on, is that you start collecting your own data from your own sources. And that is probably primarily in the digital space, your website, or maybe an app that you have for your organization. So either your website traffic, website information, website data, or your data that you're collecting with your mobile app. Well, let's spend a second here. Why is it so important that you have your own website, that you have your own mobile app? Maybe again, maybe one of the most valuable things in your business is your customer data. The most valuable thing that you can have is the contact information of your customers. That is, for example, why Amazon as a company is so valuable, because they have hundreds of thousands, millions of customers all over the world, and they know exactly their buying behavior. They know what they buy, when they buy, what they like. They know what kind of website design and checkout process works the best, so that they can optimize their revenue and their profit. That's also one of the reasons why we recommend that Amazon should also always be only the second option in an e-commerce space, for example, because Amazon knows exactly, okay, what is the best product the vendors on the marketplace are selling, and then if they see that is profitable, then they can easily come up with their own solution, with their own white label product, and push you out of the market, because again, they own the customer. They own all the customer data. And the best way for you to start competing in that area, to build your own data, your own customer base, is start collecting on your website or your mobile app. So let's talk about some of the tools that you should and can use, especially when we're talking about your website. Because I think, or what I often see is that even if an organization has a decent website that is up to date from a design standpoint, we often see that all of the basic, let's call it digital plumbing, or all the basic marketing tech is not installed. And that is basically leaving money on the table, because especially when you're considering that there are only a few tools that you actually need to install one time, and that are quite easily to install, and then they start collecting the data for you that even if you do not want to use it now, maybe can use later on. So I want to encourage you to start as early as possible and as quick as possible with installing these tools on your website, on your mobile app, and all of them that I'm gonna mention now are completely free and freely available. So tool number one that I want to talk about is the Google Tag Manager. You might want to, or you maybe heard already about it. What is the Google Tag Manager? You can think about the Google Tag Manager about a kind of USB hub, or digital USB hub, basically. Meaning, if you install your Google Tag Manager one time on your website, that's basically your data collection tool. And from now on, you can easily plug in and plug out any other marketing software, marketing tool, or whatever you have that you want to use on your website through that, through the Google Tag Manager. Meaning you have now one access point that helps you to manage all your different tags, all your different code, all your different tools in one place. And another big advantage is it doesn't slow down your website when you have that, when you run everything through the Google Tag Manager compared to when you install all the code or all the tools separately on your website, that can over time significantly slow down your website loading speed. And you probably know as good as I do how important that is for your overall conversion results. So tool number one that you should install as quickly as possible is the Google Tag Manager. But the Google Tag Manager itself, doesn't do much, or you can't really analyze data with that. So what you then need as a second tool is Google Analytics. And Google Analytics is now the tool where all that collected data gets stored and where you can start analyzing it. So again, Google Tag Manager is that kind of USB hub, digital USB hub, that now enables you to plug in a lot of different other tools in one place and collects basically every website activity or mobile app activity. But now you need to store and analyze that data somewhere, and this is where Google Analytics comes into play. You probably already heard about it. One of the most common, if not the most common tool when it comes to analyzing your website traffic. You can use it to create audiences. You can use it to create conversion goals on your website. A lot of different things. You can tie it in with Google Ads so that you can run paid campaigns in the complete Google universe. So besides Google Tag Manager, probably one, or if not the most important tool to analyze your website or mobile app traffic. Google Analytics, super important, also very easy to install, and of course a free tool. Tool number 3 that you should install on your website is the Facebook Pixel. What is a Facebook Pixel? The Facebook Pixel is basically a piece of code, again, that you plug into your website. It now starts collecting or basically ties Facebook to your website, so that you now can measure who from or which Facebook users are visiting your website. Again, you can now start collecting information about age, gender, even GPS location, things of that nature. And of course, measure conversions when you run paid campaigns or paid ad campaigns on the Facebook or Instagram platform. So when you even remotely consider advertising or marketing on Facebook or Instagram, then you should definitely make sure to install the Facebook Pixel on your website. Especially when you are in the B2B space, then you should also make sure to install a LinkedIn Insights tag. That's kind of the equivalent to the Facebook Pixel, but instead, for the Facebook universe, for the Facebook platform, of course, we're talking about LinkedIn here. Meaning, if you install the LinkedIn Insights tag, again, through the Google Tag Manager on your website, then your website sends back the information to LinkedIn, and then you can, again, measuring conversions, start building audiences there, start retargeting your website visitors, and so on. So maybe not necessary, but again, when you're thinking about maybe now or in the future about any type of marketing on LinkedIn and you have a LinkedIn company page, definitely make sure to install the LinkedIn Insights tag on your website. Then now we going a little bit next level. Another tool that you can use is Hotjar. So what you can do with this tool is creating, for example, recordings of users on your website. Or what you can do is creating heat maps, meaning you can start analyzing how users use your website, on which button do they click, where do they spend the most time, what are the areas where they actually look at, and so on. So especially when you want to dive a little deeper into special or different page analysis and really want to fine tune for example, your landing pages, then Hotjar is a tool that I would highly recommend. There are other ones available out there. It's just that Hotjar offers a free plan to start with. So a great tool if you just want to dive a little deeper and start experimenting a little bit more with heat maps and so on. And then, of course, maybe one of the most important systems that you should have in place is your own CRM system. Meaning you should start collecting the contact information of your customers, email address, maybe phone number, maybe postal address when you're delivering stuff, whatever is necessary here. But you should have a customer relationship management system where you really own and collect all the data and really build your own customer profiles, because all the tools that I mentioned before are relatively anonymous tools, meaning you can't really differentiate between different individuals for privacy reasons. That's also forbidden in a lot of jurisdictions. But when you have your own CRM system, that's really where you own the complete data, and you really can start building your customer segments, different customer lists, and so on. There are so many CRM systems out there that it wouldn't really be professional of me if I would recommend anything to you in that format, because depending on the size of your company, depending on what you're actually doing, you need a different solution. If you are a really big company, you maybe need some tool like Salesforce that is really powerful. If you're more into the e-commerce space, more SMB, then you might have a look at Klaviyo as a email marketing or marketing automation software. Or if you're really a small business, maybe you can even go with a simple solution like MailChimp or something like that. So there are literally hundreds of thousands of solutions out there that you can use. You need to make sure that you find something that actually works for you, but need to make sure that besides these solutions that you have installed on your website, you also have your own CRM system. So let me go really quick through them again. You should have your Google Tag Manager installed. You need Google Analytics to actually collect, store, and analyze the data, website traffic. Facebook Pixel for all your marketing on Facebook and Instagram. Then your LinkedIn Insights tag for all your marketing related activities on LinkedIn. Hotjar if you want to create in-depth heat maps of your different websites, landing pages. And then last but not least, make sure you have your own CRM system to start to collect as quick as possible your own customer and your first party customer data. And the goal again should be to build a kind of self-improving loop here. So again, you should start with a hypothesis with a goal in mind. You test that, then you get feedback, you get data, you get customer information back, you analyze these results. Based on that, you now know, okay, what are possible improvements, where can you fine-tune the whole setup a little bit, and then you repeat the whole process. Again, you start the next test, you analyze the test, you improve and try to beat the benchmark, and then you repeat it over and over again, and therefore you have that constant feedback loop. You're collecting more and more data, you're feeding the machine learning algorithms, the AI that is often behind a lot of these tools that I mentioned before, and over time, not only collect more data, but also to learn how to actually utilize and analyze it properly. So let me close with these final words. I think it's important to understand that data is not that magic tool that can solve all our business problems that we have, especially in marketing. But data can help us to answer difficult questions. Therefore, I think it's important that we start or learn or understand to ask the right questions. Because again, what I said earlier in this live stream, data itself can be overwhelming. You just get all this new information, you get all this data in, especially if it's unstructured data, then it's it's an easy mistake to make, to draw the wrong conclusions from that overwhelming information that you get right now. So it's really important to make sure that you start with the right questions in mind, that you have a clear goal, that you have a clear strategy and a clear question that you want to answer with the data that you get. And therefore, not just start blindly and make maybe very costly and maybe making wrong and therefore then costly business decisions just because you didn't ask the right question. So again, data can help us to answer difficult questions. So let's ask the right questions. All right, these were my thoughts so far. I hope it was helpful for you. If you have a question, as always, feel free to put it in the chat in the comment section below. And of course, if it was helpful in any way, make sure to leave a like. That would really be much appreciated. It also helps the algorithm. But to really stress that a little more, it's really important, or I would really recommend to keep it simple. Install these few tools on your website. Most modern website builders, most modern mobile app development tools, they often already offer a native integration for example, Google Analytics or the Facebook Pixel. Often also for the Google Tag Manager, which literally means you just need to copy a number from your Google Analytics account and put it into your website software, or the same with your Facebook Pixel. And then you already start collecting all this information, all this customer data that maybe not today, but definitely in the future will help you to make better business decisions. All right, I hope that was helpful. I would appreciate to see you in future live streams. Let me know what you think, what questions you might have, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.